Alright, so I have a battle here against Untraceablestrain, and he's been a massive supporter of my YouTube channel, as well as my Twitch, I guess, channel, um, over the last few months. So I wanted to get a battle with him, and we decided to do a interesting format, mixed tier match. As you might recall, I used this exact same format when I battled Xenon a few weeks ago. And basically the idea is we each have one Uber, one OU, one UU, one NU, one RU, and one PU in the team, so it should be pretty interesting. So I lead with my Uxie as he decides to lead with Articuno, which is kind of the forgotten about, what is it, legendary bird? That and Moltres. But he's going to go ahead and set up a sub, which isn't very good, and Articuno, of course, has access to Hurricane. Unfortunately, I was not predicting the sub, and I just tried to go for the T-Wave. That's not too shabby. I now set up the Stealth Rocks because it's good to set up, but, yeah, this is not looking too great for me. I'm hoping that I can break the sub with a Stab Psychic, although I don't have a whole lot of special attack investment on my Uxie, not to mention that Articuno is very specially bulky. So, yeah, I'm get lucky there. After I think, a crit Hurricane, one ends up missing, so I guess that about evens out. And, yeah, as you can see, my Psychic does not break the sub, which, I was thinking is very unfortunate. So I'm gonna go for it again, thinking, okay, 2 Stab Psychics. That better break that sub. He goes for the Hurricane, and, yeah, it's going to hit me down to low yellow as I just go for another one to break the sub. Now, he's going to obviously set it back up again. There's not a whole lot I can do to threaten him, seeing as my Psychic does not one-hit KO a sub. I'm just going to go ahead for the U-turn, force him to have to go for the substitute on my switch at the very least, and that's what he does, and I just go for the U-turn. It's not going to obviously do a whole lot of damage to that sub, but, yeah, I'm going to go out into my Scizor, which is my OU I brought along, as well as my Mega Evolution. This is Mega Scizor. I'm going to Mega Evolve and just go for the Bullet Punch to break the sub. I have to hope that he doesn't get the confusion off on the Hurricane. I know I can live one, and live it with a decent amount of HP as well. So I just have to hope that either the Hurricane misses or doesn't get that confusion proc. So I do break the sub with a super effective Bullet Punch, and now he does get off the Hurricane. Unfortunately for me, it does hit, and not only that, it does get the confusion, so that is really dangerous for me. I decided to stay in and risk it. 50% chance to take out this Articuno. Well, he's probably just going to set up a sub if I hurt myself in my confusion. And unfortunately, I do. So he gets off another sub, which is really, really not good for me. Because now, at this point, he might be in killing range of Hurricane. So, once again, I'm going to go for the Bullet Punch. I don't have anything that can switch into Hurricane. So, yeah, this Articuno is doing a lot of work to me right now. I do get off a Bullet Punch this turn to break the sub again as he goes for another Hurricane, and I will allow it to go off. I do get the miss, so at least there's that. He is getting some misses here with Hurricane, so it's not a complete loss. So I go for the Bullet Punch again, and I do get it off 2 in a row to take out this Articuno, so thank God for that. But, yeah, I think that's his PU, isn't Articuno? PU, I think it is, so obviously his PU is doing some massive work. Regardless, he goes out into Nightmare now, which is just Trevenant, which is a pretty scary wall thing. I go into Muck for some reason. I think the reason I do that is because I was thinking that Poison Jab is super effective on this, but it's not because Ghost resists Poison. Oops, I'm a noob. Oh well, now I do go into Infernape thinking, okay, he does have Will-O-Wisp probably, so he's probably going to go for that. And, yeah, obviously I do take the Will-O-Wisp, being that I'm a Fire type. Now, it does break his sub. Is he going to go for the Leech Seed, which, is kind of a nuisance. Now, here I thought, okay, he's not going to stay in with Trevenant. I'm going to go ahead and get the double switch. I'm thinking that he's going to go out. He knows I'm banded because we actually had a battle before this that unfortunately disconnected, so he does know that I'm choice banded. So I was thinking, okay, he might go out into his Azumarill to take my Fire Punch. Unfortunately, he makes a great play, great over-prediction on my part, really, and just goes for the Will-O-Wisp on my Muck, which comes in and gets burned, and that's not good because this is kind of like a physical, well, it's a Curse Muck, so obviously it really doesn't want to be, burned. And as you can see, the Poison Jab is not super effective, which I'm like, oh yeah, Ghost totally resists poison, doesn't it? So it's not weak to poison. Okay, well, that kind of blows. I still kind of want to break this sub before switching out, So I'm hoping that a second Poison Jab will do it, but this thing is just way too physically bulky, basically, and because it's not super effective and my attack is halved, it does not end up breaking the sub again, so not looking too great for me. I've made a few misplays early here, and it's definitely cost me. If only that first game didn't disconnect, because that game was going so much better. And, yeah, oh well, what can you do? Regardless, I'm just going to go for a Shadow Sneak, which is, ends up critting. It's super effective as well, and, yeah, it does break the sub. Anyway, he's probably just going to go for the sub again this turn, so I'm just going to switch out, because obviously I know I can't do anything to the sub. There's no point for me to stay in, really. I do have Pain Split on this Muck. However, I don't think it goes for the sub, so whatever. Actually, no, I guess I go for the Shadow Sneak first, just to... I don't even know why. Oh, I was going for the poison, that's why. Right, I have Poison Hand on this Muck. That's, is that Poison Hand? I think that was called. But, yeah, I can actually poison things by getting a contact move hit, so that's what I was going for there. Trying to get a poison off on this, bulky Pokemon for the residual damage. Regardless, I am going to switch out again, and I go out into my Infernape because, yeah, just kind of going into it because it's the only thing that I know that can break a sub on my team that, doesn't get risked by the burn. I kind of brought a pretty physical team in general, and this Trevenant is just being a real nuisance. Now, his Shadow Claw does a lot more to me than I would have liked. He is able to get Infernape down to red HP, and now he's going to go into the Azumarill that I thought he was going to go into earlier. So really, he's just outplaying me a lot right now. Sometimes I hate rematching, you know. It's like, I make good predictions the first time, and then the second time, I just don't. He just knows my moves. Oh well. So this thing is a Belly Drummer, which isn't very good. And of course it has the sorry, not the Salak Berry. It has the Citrus Berry to restore health after that as I go into my Muck. And I'm not going to be able to get off a Poison Jab. I really should have just went for a Shadow Sneak to try to get the burn, or sorry, the Poison or something. Actually, it doesn't matter either way, because he's going for Aqua Jet, which is his priority move. Never mind, it doesn't really matter. So I go into Arceus. And I do that because Extreme Speed is +2 priority. I know that it can outspeed the Aqua Jet, and there you go. Now, Arceus is really the Pokemon looking at my team now. It's like the Pokemon I really need to sweep with. He goes into Steelix, and I do have the Swords Dance. This is a Swords Dance set, but I'm thinking, okay, a lot of these guys will carry Dragon Tail or whatever. So I just go for the Extreme Speed to break his air balloon, because while I do have Earthquake, I can't hit him while he has that air balloon up, and I just wanted at least to pop that. He ends up going for the Earthquake, and it ends up critting, which isn't great, because Arceus really does need its HP in order to set up that Swords Dance. So I go into Uxie to take the Earthquake. I know that I'm not going to be able to do much with Uxie, so I just go for the U-turn. He's probably going to use this opportunity to set up his own Stealth Rocks. And that's what he ends up doing as I go into Politoed, because my Politoed is very cute, and also is a water type, so I'm hoping that I can do some decent damage. Now, I do go not for the Scald, but I go for the Ice Beam, and there's this Roar, so he did have Roar instead of Dragon Tail, but I go for the Ice Beam predicting Trevenant, because, yeah, I thought that would be a obvious switch, but he ends up not doing it, which... He just wants to go ahead and try to do some Roar strat, so I'm just going to let him do that. I know he's probably going to go for the Roar again, so I'm just going to go for the Psychic to get damage, and now I get back into Politoed after another Roar, so this turn, I believe, I'm just going to say, screw it, I'm going to go for a Scald to finish this guy off, and that's what I do. And, yeah, no more roaring and doing Stealth Rock damage to my Team Steelix. Get out. Go away. Just go away. Any switch. Here comes Mewtwo, and this is a Mewtwo Y, which is the super special attack. So basically just Super Mewtwo version. So he is going to Mega Evolve. I'm just going to Toxic. Now, I don't know why I did that. Now, I mean, I guess the residual... I was thinking, okay, residual damage on this thing might be nice. It doesn't... I mean, because it's a Mega Pokemon, it's not going to have leftovers, so it's going to be doing some nice residual damage. But it's just way too powerful. It's just too much of a sweeper to really rely on Toxic to do anything. Then again, I really didn't have a whole lot of plays because nothing on my team can come in and take a Psy Strike pretty well. Not even a Pokemon that resists it like Steelix, because my Steelix is almost dead. and will probably be 2 KO'd, but yeah, I go into Infernape, and this is basically death fodder. I know that he's just going to get KO'd to the Stealth Rocks on the switch back in, and I do that so I don't have to take a Psy Strike on the switch, so that's why I do that, which is actually a pretty good play for me. And now I go out to steal my Scizor, Mega Scizor, to try to scare away this Mewtwo. I know that this Mewtwo doesn't have great defense, so I'm hoping that Bullet Punch can take it out. Now, I do go for the Bullet Punch, I believe. Do I? Yes, yes, no, yes? I go for the Bullet Punch. Really should have tried to predict the Switch and Swords Dance, but it was just too risky. I have 2 Swords Dancers on this team with priority moves, and I have the Infernape. Yeah, I didn't bring enough special dudes. Oh well. I go for the Roost to get my HP back as he goes for the Will-O-Wisp Burn, which is a good play, and at this point I'm just kind of hoping that I can get a ton of Swords Dances up. I know I don't resist Shadow Claw, because Steel no longer resists Ghost, but at the same time, Steelix is pretty physically bulky, or bulky in general. I'm kind of hoping that I can, at the very least, stall this thing out with Roost and getting Swords Dances, but unfortunately, after the Leech Seed and the Burn, it's just not going to look like it's going to happen. Now, his Shadow Claw doesn't do a whole lot. I go for the Pursuit this turn, because it's super effective, and I'm kind of hoping he would switch, and wanted to get damage in before he sets up the sub, and that's what he does. But this thing has Harvest, which, with a Citrus Berry, is very nice recovery. And, yeah, it's just a pretty cool ability that gives him his berry back. Now, I am almost dead here, but I decide to go for it. I decide to go for the Roost, see if I can get more HP than he can deal out. And I do that as he goes for the Shadow Claw, which, looking at this damage, it's not that much, but after the Leech Seed and the Burn take 1/8 apiece each, I'm pretty much left with what I started, and eventually he might just get that crit Shadow Claw to finish me off, so it's not a very good place for me. Now, I do kind of think that he's going to try to set up his sub, thinking that my Burn and Leech Seed is going to finish me off, thinking I might try to finish off the sub instead of going for the Roost after seeing that first damage. So I actually make a pretty good play here, going for the Roost, predicting that he would go for the sub again. So now I'm able to take out that sub, and if he wants to kill me, he has to attack. So that's what I do. Sorry about that, my phone went off mid-narration there. But yeah, it does allow me to break that sub, so at the very least, my Scizor goes down, breaking the sub. And yeah, these substitutes really doing a lot of damage against me in this battle. Really a big nuisance. So I go into Arceus, and I do that because basically... So I go into Politoed, sorry. Thought I went into Arceus. I know he doesn't have a grass move because I know he has a complete move set. So I feel pretty comfortable going just for the Ice Beam as he goes out into Mewtwo, which is a good play because Mewtwo Y does have a sizable special defense stat as well. So it's really going to take that Ice Beam pretty nicely. Now, at this point, there's not a whole lot I can do but stay in against this Mewtwo. I'd have no safe switches, nothing can take a move from this guy very well. But I'm going to switch out anyway, and I go into Uxie. Mainly because I think Uxie is the most expendable thing I have right now. It did what it needs to do, set up the Stealth Rocks, harassed his team a bit, and yeah, now at this point it's the Pokemon that, looking at my team, I need the least right now. So that's what I do. Now that it's at this point, I know that Arceus can come in and kill it with a extreme speed, which is what I'm going to do. I cannot afford to take a hit to try to get off a Swords Dance because this thing can carry Focus Blast, not to mention a Size Shock will probably do sizable chunk to me as well, if not kill me. So yeah, he goes into Umbreon, and it's kind of unfortunate. I really can't afford to take a foul play, especially after a Swords Dance. So I'm going to switch out into Politoed, and yeah, I end up just going for, I think, the Toxic, which isn't great because I'm not going to be able... If I could have, if I had more HP on this Politoed, I might have been able to Toxic Stall this thing out a bit. But as it stands now, he's going to be able to kill me again with another foul play. So, yeah, obviously Toxic takes a little while to, actually do its magic. Not to mention, Synchronize poisons me as well. But I just didn't know what else to do. I could have went for the Scald to get damage, which I think probably would have been the better play overall, but... yeah, so now I go into Arceus. It's my last Pokemon, and I know I'm not going to take the foul play too nicely. And, yeah, I am just kind of hoping, praying at this point that I can maybe take this thing out with 2 extreme speeds. Probably should have actually went for the Swords Dance anyway, although that would have just increased... I would have gotten one shot by foul play if I did that. And as you can see, Extreme Speed does not do enough at this point to be a 2-hit KO, even with the Toxic, so... Good game. I feel like I got outplayed a lot in this game, but it ended up just being a 2-0, so I guess I'll take it. It was a fun match, Untraceablestrain. I have to do it again sometime. And, yeah, today's question of the day is as follows. What is your favorite Uber? I think I probably asked this before, but probably not in Gen 6. Now, Mega Rayquaza obviously is disqualified, being it's banned even in Ubers. My favorite Uber is probably the Mewtwo that he used. Well, not Mega Mewtwo, because I'm not a fan of Mega Evolutions in general, but Mewtwo will always... Actually, no. Well, no. Yeah, Mewtwo will always have a special place in my heart, being that, it's that first super legendary that I caught. I mean, obviously, being an old school Pokemon player. Regardless, leave a comment about that, and I hope to see you guys again next time. Later.